All right, now I got a couple of guests from Washington, D.C. On the phone with me will be Graham Hackler, who's a pastor and justice advocate. Also with us is Netfa Freeman, who's a coordinating committee member of the Black Alliance for Peace, also in Washington, D.C. Okay, first let's talk to Mr. Hackler on the phone. My question for you is, well, this is what the report is saying about what the U.S. Police, the way they have been acting. I just read the part of it for you in the intro. That's what is known. It's known fact. Everybody knows about it. So there have been some parts of the U.S. where some reforms are taking shape. Just yesterday, I think it was in Memphis or elsewhere, we heard about such reforms. The question is, are the reforms the solution to the problem? Will the reforms see an end to police brutality in the states?
Well, they're not. Reforms are basically stopgap measures to try to save face. Because really, what came out in the report doesn't surprise anybody who's black, anybody that's been following police misconduct and the historical patterns. It's all about the same thing. What there needs to be is a whole systemic change in terms of the way people are trained, who they are, how you approach the job, all those types of things. A relationship with the community, because there is no relationship with the community. And then also, this idea of putting on a uniform puts you in a whole nother racial ethnic camp in the community you're serving.
Okay, we don't have a very good connection. Let me go to Netfa. Netfa, let's have your opinion. I want to put the same question to you. Are the reforms the solution to the problem?
No, we can't reform a system of settler colonialism. The only solution to system of settler colonialism, which is what this is decolonization. Is that for those who are colonized to be able to establish liberation and a system of their own, their right to self-determination. So the slave, what we see in the practices and what's come out in this report, numerous reports come out around these police things, but this latest one in Memphis shows that these practices are legacies of the slave patrols and the slave catchers during slavery and enslaved Africans and also against the indigenous people, and the need to colonize, to control the colonized subjects of settler colonialism. And so today's police, actually, why we can see that a lot of them also belong to white supremacist groups and those with white nationalist tendencies, and because the policing in the United States finds fertile ground among these most among these populations, that you might realize, who think that this is a way to do something for the community and address the different crimes and violence and things, but those things are also a product of the disenfranchisement, the frustration and despair of neoliberalism of the U.S., the neoliberalism adopted by the U.S. settler colonial system. And so now we're seeing an intensification. The U.S., I mean, in spite of these reforms that they implement, they're actually intensifying the police. They're militarizing them. The federal government is giving more money to it. And so when they do these slight reforms, and even when they prosecute a particular cop, that's just taking one for the team. It's public relations ploy to save faces, as Reverend Hackler put it. But it's also meant to keep the system and keep the people confused about the inherent nature of this system.
And Netfa, that system we're talking about seems to be so deeply entrenched within U.S. society. I mean, because it doesn't seem to be making a difference which administration takes the realm of the White House, Democratic, Republican, whoever comes to office. I mean, not much change for the better. That's not what we see. It's almost getting worse and worse, right?
It has to get worse. I mean, if we look, and unfortunately, it has to get worse in terms of what those in control will mete out. And we actually see it internationally as well. It's the same thing. This system, the U.S. government, is predicated on settler colonialism. That means a nationalism at the expense of Black, brown, indigenous, working class people in this country. And it also, because it's also an imperialist system, it is struggling in desperate attempt to control and exercise its hegemony around the world. The racism of it, says that African people and brown people and other working class peoples, non-white peoples, are not capable of governing themselves. This is the trope, this is the mentality they have, but it's really about controlling and being able to exploit the system. You can see it. It's mirrored in the U.S. hegemonic dispositions around the world, in Haiti and Somalia, Libya, and Palestine, which you just got finished talking about. And these imperialist forces are one U.S., NATO, EU axis of domination is how we refer to it. And neoliberalism is unsustainable. So it can't absorb the populations. There's no employment. They can't do anything for them. So their only recourse is to control and contain, mass incarcerate, kill, and murder us.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Netfa Freeman, coordinating committee member of the Black Alliance for Peace in Washington, D.C. We also had with us on the phone Graylin Hagler, pastor and justice advocate from D.C. Thank you for watching this episode of the News Review.